Hey guys, I'm your host, Neura, your perennialist, astrologer, mystic, animist, artist, etc., etc. I hate labels, so we'll just go ahead and blow past that. But on to the video now. The thing that you guys came here for. Neptune in Aries, the fog of war. So before we get into Neptune and Aries, I just wanted to briefly go over Neptune in Pisces, which it was just in. Neptune has been moving through the tropical zodiac sign of Pisces for 13 years, 11 months, and 26 days for those who like specific uh, numbers there. And it began on April 4th, 2011, which had actually already concluded March 30th. And just to remind everyone, the qualities of Neptune uh, are things that deal with themes of fantasy, dreams, ideals, bliss, even romance and myths. You know, the stories that we don't just tell ourselves, but stories that are old as time, that's been passed and transmitted throughout history. And the media also is something that Neptune deals with. And on a more shadow side, it can deal with illusions, deceptions, ambivalence, mirages. Keep in mind that, again, because it's a slow moving planet, it's not something we'll be able to see obviously and right away, at least in your day to day. But on a macroscopic scale, you'll be able to see it affecting society and people and more of a long term, as I've mentioned. So, and it being in Pisces, we should have seen more fantastical or colorful dreams, things that seem unreal. I think over the course of that 13 years, a lot of people has, at least for me, I could speak on my own experience. I've noticed that it's been a lot more, yeah, very dreamy, but also transcendence, boundaries nearly non existent. And all the way up until Saturn actually came in, ingressed into Pisces, is when we started having these themes of like boundaries being rediscovered or realized. It gave us more of a reality check. And we've also noticed, waves of emotions, fantasies, and illusions. Collective unity, ideas, society, cultures at large has seen a level of identity or fluidity over the decade in Pisces. And because Pisces is closely associated with water, the nature of Pisces made us question things that weren't so clear. Like the cultural norms and societal constructs and identity. And of course, this means gender and sexuality that were questioned as well. So, being lost in the efforts of trying to find meaning in a vast nebulous dreamscape. And dream interpretation, of course, soul searching, spiritual awakening, psychonautic explorations, psychedelic, all themes of Neptune and Pisces. And a couple more is we have social media and huge technological strides during the transit, like the dawn of social media marketing, the creator economy, spiritual and esoteric content exploded, which created new ways for people to connect and interact with the world. But the transit brought a rise of emotional awareness as well, and therefore intelligence, bringing us to a deeper understanding of emotional vulnerability, maturity, emotional trauma, self the self-care movement as well. Neurotypes, neurodivergence, mystical experience, and spiritual awareness, etc., etc. Now, Neptune in Aries. So, some of the themes that we might notice are what I have here is spiritual passion, or on the flip side, fanaticism. A new era of spiritual awakening or spiritual activism. We might discover newfound passions for a worldview or religion, or viewing your worldview in a new light. Advocacy for spiritual and or indigenous and cultural freedom, and we might see more needs for a need for more decentralized spiritual communities to form outside of the institutionalized religion. So, this time of advanced technological age, we may see a need for the divine to pull back or retreat from going full cyborg, plugged into the matrix as we enter the age of spiritual renaissance. But even more so, I would say, when Pluto enters Pisces around 2044. We might also notice a feeling of strong desire to protect marginalized groups of humans or animals or even ideas or groups and communities. Perhaps even becoming an advocate for some movement. There's a collective protective energy that I feel is one of the noticeable and really positive aspects of this transit. Now, the shadows, the fanaticism, something to be aware of, that we might see people feel very strongly about the religion, that they become warriors or crusaders. Having strong belief in something or someone is completely fair. However, problems can arise if you impose it onto others. Be wary of those, including yourself, that might be consciously or unconsciously proselytizing or guilting others for having different views. I have here flashpoint intuition or epiphanies. We might see visions or insights might come like a lightning bolt, like clairaudience, just a sharp intuition, a sharp insight or vision. We might see more initiatives for spiritual or psychic or subconscious education or schools of thought or dream work. Many ideas, dreams, or fantasies could seem to have themes of fire and action, excitement, conflict, passion, or challenges. Pioneering tech. We might see new, exciting games being introduced, like digital, physical games, or even sports. Something entirely novel or even new spins on old games could be more social or globally connected in some ways, like more so than what we already see online, like with multiplayer online games. I feel like I can't really explain, but I just have this feeling it's a little bit more, it's just different. We'll see a new type of innovation in this. Also, new social media apps, including dating apps. See more discoveries that has to do with dreams, or people coming up with new inspirations, innovations from dreams. Now, we might see potential uptick in sketchy or uncertain tech that may require netizens or people of the internet to find or create innovative ways to maintain privacy, whether it's cybersecurity or physical security, which might be needed, especially considering Saturn will be conjoining Neptune soon. So, also Pluto and Aquarius. There's some overlaps with these transits. Now, AI deepfakes and scammers may unfortunately be even more prevalent, which could be a reason for more security and potentially may require us to verify ourselves through more secured means or with better or more innovative personal authentication methods. So here I have spiritual warfare. You could kind of imagine I have here like Neptune and Aries kind of being like trying to meditate in the middle of a battlefield while on shrooms. It might not be the easiest thing to do, but it may be very well necessary. A time where we have to learn to find peace in the midst of chaos. So, on one end, this could symbolize spiritual or religious conflict on a collective level because Neptune's natural vibe is for peace and serenity, but it being in Aries can indicate action or friction or conflict. So, the other thing I have here is that it's another way to look at this is like the yin and yang. There's a dash of light in the shadows and a dash of shadow in the light. Or you could picture the eye of a hurricane or a tornado. There's one critical center area that is not physically gripped by the magnitude of the winds as much as it is around the sides. So it's important that we move with the path of the storm, if not completely away from it, or risk being swept away by the chaos. So I think here it's a good idea to center ourselves and ground ourselves when we find ourselves a little bit, ungrounded or erratic. PSYOPs on a new level. Gaslight activated. So ambivalence or uncertain about who, what, when, where, why, or how regarding conflicts or challenges or oppositions. The unnamed enemy, we may even see this be a time to identify and understand what provokes us. It can happen on a personal level or at home or in general public. As with a lot of these transits, we'll always see it kind of just like ripple from, the outside and in. As within, so without. So unknown or unnamed invader. We might see conflicts or challenges with parasites or viruses, like actual physical parasites or viruses or like things like bio, nanotech, or also digital AI soldiers or weapons, which could come in a form of parasites, viruses, or, biotech, nanotech. Mind viruses as well. Doesn't have to be physical. Or toxic belief systems. Emotional trauma or shadow work. And black magic spells or hexes. Something to look out for. Hopefully, none of these can happen, but, it's possible. And again, these are archetypal signatures that can come about. And the next slide I have here is the mirage of leaders or protection. So the ones that you thought were protecting you actually aren't. And the other example that I have here is that it's like thinking you'll qualify for insurance so that you have had insurance, but you actually do not. That sucks. Now, on a more personal level, you might see that you could get protection from an unknown source, potentially even divine. Again, a lot of the times you might not even see some of these darker or more intense things, but I just want to provide you guys some of these potential archetypal manifestations of the energy. So it could range from all the way from the most positive things of bliss and, epiphanies to the more darker ends. So now this is the takeaway. And of course, this is not an exhaustive list, so keep in mind that it could come about in many other ways than what I have just listed here, or what any other astrologers can interpret. These are just my interpretations that I've come up with without being it too lengthy or too long. Although this is probably already much longer than expected, but so takeaways. There's a sense of renewal of spirit, passion, romance, and fantasy that we should never forget to nurture within ourselves and with others. So be brave, dream big, and bold. It's an exciting time to envision and pioneer something new and innovating. Just balance it with a degree of discernment and not get lost in the sauce of the fantasy. So, there's good and bads in their transit, as I've mentioned. Just like the first dreamy ideals of early life, being young with a sparkle in the eyes, full of wonder of what life could be. These are some of the good things that could come about from this transit. So, this could be a time we see the importance of protecting ourselves as we move into potential season of illusion or deception from negative entities or oppositions that seek to extract, exploit, or harm, as well as a time to protect or defend your beliefs, or potentially a moment in time to reevaluate your beliefs to see if it will stand the test of time. Also, it's critical to identify and name our problems, enemies, challenges, conflicts, whatever it may be, whether it's physical, spiritual, emotional, to really figure out what that name, identify what it is so that we can actually then move through the process to overcome them, to solve them, to heal, whatever it is. And, in terms of our belief systems too, I just want to say that if you find something that's conducive to your life, that brings value, that gives more than it takes, then I say go for it. Go for it, if it brings fulfillment, spiritual significance, if there's no harm, then no foul. It's also important to be aware of fanaticism and respect the beliefs of others. Remember that they may also feel strongly about their worldview, so exercise diplomacy, emotional maturity, and respect. Also meet others where they're at and not try to, convince others or push others to believing the way we believe. Sometimes we have to give them the time to heal and to learn and to see. It's not to say that we can't talk to them or, share our ideas, but there is that fine line of, proselytizing or, trying to push them or force them in any way. No matter how positive our intentions are, sometimes we have to just know our boundaries and know, okay, meet them where they're at, let them learn what they have to do. And then maybe eventually what we say could be the seed for them to finally grow and change in their life. And it really has to ultimately come with when they are ready in their time. But I just wanted to say, I know this is super late. It's already May, and Neptune has moved into the tropical zodiac sign of Aries on March 30th. But I made this script since January. Yeah, since January. And I've been meaning to get this all done beforehand, but life happens, the work, and this is my full-time job. So I'd like to do more of this, honestly. So if this is something you guys are interested in, do let me know. This does take a lot of time to make. Like these videos that you guys see creators making, it's like by following them and liking them, subscribing to them, it's honestly, it does mean a whole lot to them just because it does. There's a lot of work that goes into it, especially when you have a lot of like slides, presentations, research. There's just a whole lot that a lot of people don't even see that kind of that falls by the wayside and gets taken for granted of. So, I hope you guys can appreciate this because this has taken me so much time, so much effort just to, just to even script, let alone record and let alone do all these other things, edit. It's just so crazy. But so that's why I'm like hesitant, like for the longest time, should I keep making this? Because is this sustainable? But honestly, if I didn't have work and if I didn't have all these other obligations, I would totally be doing this more often. But because I have day job, because I don't have the means to just do this full time, I'm not able to just do it. Plus being a neurodivergent and I'm all over the place and there's just so much to juggle. And I'm sure you guys could probably relate of just life. So anyways, if this is something you're interested in or you appreciate, do let me know in the comments, subscribe. But also, if you wanted your reading done or just any type of astrological consultations, I'm willing to take a few at a time. But just let me know. Give me, just contact me, message me, and we could just go from there. And I could give you the best while I have the time. I'll and while I'm not busy doing this whole YouTube thing, I definitely will have more time to give you personal one-on-one consultations more than, what I'll be putting on my website and what I'll actually be officially selling as my service. But that's why if you get in right now, I'll be able to give you more time, more dedication, and because I really want to help others, even if it's, for donations or whatnot. But that's why do let me know if this is something you're interested in and if you appreciate it. And yeah, anyways, I will end it there. And yeah, peace.